Good afternoon and welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV. Great to be with you. As always, happy Balls McWednesday. Let's get it cracking. First things first. First hour. A lot of firsts. Recorded. Had to be. We're at the coach's luncheon right now. Tom, myself, the Warchant crew, and the rest of the beat. As football gets underway, we've got to be there, right? So the luncheon happens, and today we get an opportunity to sit down and talk to the assistant coaches. That culminates at the end, beginning at 1 o'clock as we traverse our way back to the studios for hour number 2. Mike Norvell will take to the dais and have his opening press conference for the season. Now, we just saw Mike a week ago, and we had lengthy conversations with him, and he spoke to a number of outlets, obviously, at the ACC kickoff, and said pretty much whatever it is he's going to say today. So that's the good news. Us missing that doesn't mean we won't have clips from it. Doesn't mean we're missing anything that we haven't heard already. But we did need to be there for this first hour, hence this hour being recorded. Okay, got that caveat out of the way. Recorded earlier today. In fact, just hours before we start the show anyhow. So still fresh content. And on the heels of all that happened yesterday, hopefully you had an opportunity to watch Ira Schafel, Tom Lang moderate the performance and the conversation, I guess I should say, from Peter Collins, the head of the Board of Trustees. I thought there were interesting comments in that. I think, most notably stating that the grant of rights deal is not going to be the thing that stands in the way of Florida State brokering the best possible deal for this program, for this athletic department financially. And that's what this is about, not falling further and further behind those you seek to compete with on an annual basis for national football, for I should say, not only conference championships, but national championships. And that's really what this is about. It's not any more complicated than that. I find something interesting, Tom. I want to get this out of the way at the top as I bring you in now. I think that one of the things you find out when you go on, I went on with Andy Staples last night after you guys did your thing. He used clips from that I know you sent him, and I had the conversation with him. I've had this conversation with Chuck Oliver in Atlanta. I've had this conversation with the folks down in South Florida. I've had this conversation on a lot of shows. And whether it's you or it's me or it's Ira or it's Corey and whoever it is, having the conversation with other outlets and other groups of people representing different fan bases in different regions of the country, something really stands out. And there is this sort of protection mode that fans go into of other teams and other conferences. There's a hostility that is involved when this discussion takes place. There's an othering that goes on. It almost is similar to what you see in politics. When in doubt, if you're a politician, never answer the question that was asked of you, but rather the one you wished had been asked of you is what I always bring up. But I also point out that it's also really easy to say, well, the reason you haven't made it is because of that guy. You should hate those people. They're the reasons that you're not getting by the way you want to. Watch this in college football. It's the same thing. It is amazing. The second Florida State, very simply, states that the current arrangement as we sit now in the ACC is untenable financially for them, and that this is not going to work, and that they can't sit idly by till 2036 in the hopes that they can fundraise their way to being equal on the playing field. The second Florida State does that, there is an immediate blowback from fan bases, not just within the ACC, but the SEC, the Big Ten, the Pac-12, the Big 12. It's astonishing how defensive people get about one program stating that this is not in our best interest. It's comical. They're angry. And I don't know if it's fear, which would be the arrogant approach to take as a pro-Florida State guy. I would say, we're not worried about your feelings. And if we come to your conference and are on equal playing fields financially, we'll probably beat you, because that's all we've ever done is kick your ass repeatedly. But people don't want to hear that, and that's not usually the approach I take. That would be one way, and it would elicit an ugly response. But no more ugly than the responses we get already at the mere mention that Florida State might want to leave a situation that is in no way feasible in the coming years. Whether you want to say months, years, a decade, whatever you want to label the timeline, It's not okay for Florida State to remain as is, and that's all they're saying. They're saying it loudly, they're saying it often, and it makes people angry. Have you noticed that?
Yeah. Honestly, I thought last night when we were going to have Peter Collins on, there was a little chit chat before the show started. Nothing crazy and nothing off the record that was spicy or anything. But just judging by the temperature, I wasn't sure how much he was going to give. Early, the first couple of questions, he mentions that independent of, TV contracts, Florida State's top 5 in the Big Ten in revenue generated as an athletic department and a budget set, all that kind of stuff. Same thing in the SEC. Like little parts that we heard from the Board of Trustees meeting months ago. So I thought, is that as far as we're going to go here? But the thing that was the headline to me is that not only did Peter Collins put his arms around what he said earlier about the grant of rights, but then he squeezed his arms around whatever he was squeezing a little bit tighter to say, look, unequivocally, this is not going to be the thing that holds us back. And I agree with you. I don't understand why people go nuts over the fact that Florida State realizes that a $29 million deficit or a $35 million annual deficit is going to bring us to a place where we can't compete.
Right.
That's not, and Peter said it himself. That's not breaking news. I'm not breaking news by saying that revenue sharing based on performance is not enough.
No.
Fair enough. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think the whole world would agree with that. If you're operating at $30 million less, you're going to have to pull resources from somewhere else in order to try and keep up with football, which is why this is a move that is not for football. It's for everything. Yeah, football's included in everything, but if Florida State was to stay exactly where they are right now, change nothing, and they win enough that they get those performance bonuses from the ACC, all right, football could survive, I think, for several years, 4 or 5, but everything else will slowly get whittled down to nothing. If you like Florida State sports that are not football, those are going to get stripped down to bare bones as we try to keep the football thing together, because that's the primary moneymaker, and we all know that. So if you care about any Florida State sport at all, which certainly a chairman of the Board of Trustees would, if you care about everything to do with Florida State, then the move has to happen. So they're telling us that it has to happen, that the grant of rights is not going to hold us back from making it happen. Now it just comes down to when, and I think from our perspective, what's the number going to be? How much does it take for us to make the move from A to B? And that B could be the SEC or the Big Ten.
Ton of internet lawyers who respond immediately to tell you that it's not possible. I find it fascinating when I go and bother to look at the responses to my interview with Andy Staples or your discussion with Peter Collins, how quickly people weigh in, letting us all know it's just not possible, according to Chris and Tempe. And, that's fascinating to me that folks want to believe that to be true. They have no basis for that, but they want that to be true. That's the underlying point I'm making here, is that how fascinating it is that people are disgusted by the idea of Florida State trying to wrangle out of this. That is either jealousy, fear, combination of the two, perhaps self-loathing is involved there as they root for a program that has never been on plane with Florida State. I'm not sure, but it is it's a constant reminder that as you ascend and as you get back into the larger discussion of championships and competing at the highest levels, you are embraced by the hatred of everybody else who can't. And that's beautiful. That's another indicator we're getting closer.
Right. It's the answer to the question that sometimes you just hear in passing. It's dismissive, but like, what do you care? So if you say to Chris, what do you care? If you really get down to the core as to why they're typing these things into a social media outlet, it is anger based in what? And you just keep going and unraveling or peeling the layers of the onion. I think it is a fear that if Florida State, for most of these people, it is a fear that if Florida State is operating on some equal level, some of these athletic departments have, and they always will, generational head starts on Florida State as an institution. So there's going to be some bells and whistles that an Alabama has, or an LSU, Texas, Oklahoma, USC, and so forth, that Florida State just won't ever catch up to because they started earlier. But if you give us a TV contract that's on the level, man, oh man, look at what Florida State is doing right here, right now with the football program, operating at the deficit they are and operating with a bit of a late start in the NIL game. Florida State has ascended exponentially compared to, I think, a lot of our expectations the last couple of years when NIL became a thing. They're doing that right now with a deficit. God help college football if we get on the level. God help college sports, because Florida State as an athletic department will be, I'm not going to say unstoppable, but they're going to be at the top of each of the sports that they want to be a part of.
Amazing how this mirrors another controversial discussion that people don't like to have. It is rather interesting, time and again, to see it to play out that way, where fear and anger rule the day, as opposed to just a logical discussion about the best possible ways to go about, in this case for Florida State, extricating yourself from
Survival
a bad situation. Yeah, I mean it's just not a it's not a rational response. It is curious. It's why I bring it to people's attention. It's like, get ready, this is coming, and oh by the way, Florida State's going to be good, and that only adds fuel to the fire of this discussion. It only threatens more as you continue to get better and you're able to do something about it, and your brand continues to grow and is seen once again in a positive light by networks who would deem Florida State to be an asset, the more the intense hatred that you get back from others from outside the program, for those that, for whatever reason, have an emotional investment in this. Now, I find all of it interesting. I'm just kind of documenting as we go along for the ride where it's at right now. And we're at an interesting stage. It's a newer stage, both on and off the field. It is a ever-changing climate, which is great, It certainly gives us an awful lot to document. It gives us context. It gives us fodder for sports talk shows and to write about. Certainly it's our job to cover this and be a part of it, in the sense that we relay these stories and these moments back to our listeners and our readers. And I think, it certainly beats the hell out of going over the depth chart for the 15th time. So I get excited about all of this in a way that maybe I don't about some of the things that have been redundant. And it's our job to do both. But I'm just telling you, I'm more excited about this. It's a lot of fun.
This is the only time in our lifetime that Florida State is going to choose, like, forevermore. I get it that 30 years ago they had a decision to make between the ACC and the SEC, and depending on how you talk to, there were real options, not real options. I don't really care to re-legislate that, but I think we all agree, we both agree that this is where it's going. You're going to get to a power two in terms of the power structure. At some point, there's going to be a leadership figure or council or something for this level of college football. It'll reorganize and it'll look something like a semi-pro league or a professional league outright. Like, that's going to be the reorganization. I don't think Florida State is going to have to choose their destiny the way that they have to right now, singularly, pretty much, ever again. Because once this thing gets to the next place, which is the power two, then I think it's just about, you're going to get more regional because the TV networks are going to get together with the sport, and you'll divvy everything up equally, and it'll be much like an NFL league on Saturdays. So
and perhaps
that's why I'm saying it's not redundant, because I think this is it. This is the last time they're going to have to make a decision like this.
Yeah, and perhaps that is the root of the anger, because in the giant game, the bigger picture, the 13,000 feet picture of musical chairs, if Florida State claims one of the chairs, that's one less chair for those other schools who are lesser assets.
Yeah.
And when that happens, it's one more step towards, are we going to be left out? Sort of, you can almost throw an ism on that, right? Are we going to be left out-ism is what kind of goes on the internet, right? I think that's kind of where that goes. And it's fascinating, because if you root for Arizona, that's a fair question. You could be left out. You're Arizona. Nobody cares about you.
Right.
You have to hope that you're part of the big 48 or whatever it becomes. You may or may not be. I don't know. You're Arizona. Now, I'm not taking pot shots at Arizona, but they are who they are. So you can do this with lots of teams. You don't have to do it with Clemson. You don't have to do it with Florida State. They'll be part of the larger 48. But that's possibly 10 years down the road, Tom. And what Florida State is saying, we don't have that kind of time, or we'll become Arizona.
Yeah, and that was the one question I asked in the first part to Peter, was about what kind of runway are we talking about? If you're talking about impossible, if you're talking about using giant words to say that this is just past due. Okay, well, when is when is it actually too late? That's basically what I wanted to ask him. When is it too late for you to act? Now, I know he's not going to give me a total straight answer because then that sets a leverage point for them that they don't want to be out there. But he says it depends on who you talk to. Some say 5 years and some say today. Some say tomorrow.
Yeah, that is a good answer, Tom. I give him credit for that because he's telling you every day we're here is one day too many without saying it.
Yeah, correct. Now, the question is, and I'm the guy who, the moment that the Texas-Oklahoma thing happened, I'm like, all right, in the next few years, we're going to be fine. We'll make a decision. The more that they're talking, they could be bluffing about this year. They could be. Like, even
I don't think it's
all of
this year.
this. Right. So I was going to say, these events, do you believe more strongly that before August the 15th of this year, they'll have made a declaration and a decision?
Okay, that's
believing it more, but I still think that might not be this year, honestly.
No, I don't think so. You think the meeting, we're talking about the meeting on the 15th?
Well, I'm talking. They've got one today at 3 o'clock, and then they've got a deadline on the 15th. They can schedule a meeting anytime they want to if they want to pop up and make a decision. I'm starting to think that they might do it a little bit more this year. I think we're going to be fine in general. We're going to a power 2. But, I mean, damn, the language is getting really, really aggressive right here, right now. If they start barking like this next year, nobody's going to believe them. So that's where this is. If they're bluffing, it's one hell of a bluff.
Well, they don't have a lot of people who believe them now. And that's part of the anger as well. A lot of people think they're lying. A lot of people think that they're making a public spectacle with nothing to back it up. That is the belief of people who discount Florida State's noise in the system, is that this is just a bunch of guys popping off, obviously in their own self-interest, not thinking about the rest of the conference. Suddenly, everybody becomes awfully concerned about what the other schools in the ACC are going to do. It is hilarious to watch that play out. But the point would be, they don't believe. And it's, it's like when we get into these debates about people who will reference something, I'm like, that's pseudoscience. Show me the proof. You get a lot of pseudoscience out there where people will say, oh, it's unbreakable. Are you an attorney? Do you know that to be the case? You don't, do you? Okay, well, then don't say that. Stop saying that. Here's the deal. It's not easy. If it were easy, Florida State would have already done it. Yeah. It's not completed. If it were completed, this wouldn't be a public spectacle. They'd go about their business and not say a word, as you pointed out yesterday. Or Ira might have pointed it out. Sorry, don't want to credit the wrong guy, but it's one of us brilliant Warchant people. So the point would be that, yes, we know there's still a lot of work to do, but it's also very evident that that work is being done. And to the point where he refers to the grant of rights and having a handle on it to mean we see opportunities within the grant of rights. Well, my goodness gracious, that is a very different phrasing than we've got a handle or we're looking into it. We've sought counsel on it. No. When you say we see the opportunities within it, you're basically saying you found an out, if need be, to challenge in court.
Yeah, that's the thing. To me, we've been doing a lot of stuff on conference realignment the last 6 months because it's a hot topic and Florida State can't stand pat. The moment they went, in the Board of Trustees meeting on the record and said what they said, it's on. In a sense, it's on. It's just, even though we were doing that, I would have listed percentage chances of doing something this year at a low percent. Next year, much higher. The year after that, certainly, if they hadn't done anything, it's by 25 or 26, the number's going to get there where they can most certainly afford it and they could spin this thing off and go. I just have to say, I didn't expect to hear that much, that aggressive type of language last night, to where I personally, I'm increasing the chances that it might happen in the next 2 weeks. I don't know. This could all be a tactic, and it's a big nothing. But man, I guess my point is, we're not making stuff up. This guy's going on the record and speaking big time things about the grant of rights and the future of the Board of
Trustees. It's if it doesn't work, it doesn't work out. He'll have egg on his face, not you and me,
right?
Not Warchant. It'll be him. And we certainly have to document when the chair of the Board of Trustees says things like this.
But will he, if they don't do something by August 16th of this?
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I don't think that this was to preface a grand announcement on the 6th. I don't think so. No, I believe that certainly the kind of give and take of that conversation that we'll also get to see might include the subject matter of realignment and Florida State's place in all of this. but I don't believe there will be a declaration. By the way, one moment ago, you did a good job of accidentally quoting Tupac when you said it's on. I was about to say because I said so, which is a great lyric by him, but it's a good place to point out that I love that you worked that in there by accident. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
He's still alive.
Hey, this is your stomach speaking. It's time to eat again. We met deadlines and closed out the workday like a boss. The last thing you want to do is cook dinner. Even worse, pick up any fast food garbage. We need something good, something local. We need foodiestakeout.com. An all-star lineup of local spots like Smitty's Tap House, El Jalisco, Terry's Cafe, Hangar 38, Metro Deli, and more. It's so easy. Just choose pickup or delivery, and let's eat the good stuff. I'm growling already. Visit foodiestakeout.com.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Got chronic joint pain but want to avoid steroids and surgery? Take some advice from pro football legend Emmitt Smith. Call QC Kinetics.
Let QC Kinetics help you improve your quality of life with biologic therapies that get your body to repair and restore damaged tissue.
These exciting new regenerative treatments from local medical professionals can help your body heal itself with lasting pain relief.
Trust me, you want to avoid surgery if you can. Check out these biologic treatments to see what your options are.
QC Kinetics, restorative, regenerative solutions with no downtime, no surgery, no drugs.
I'm talking about joint pain we all can relate to in your knees, your shoulders, your hips, and your lower back. They'll get you feeling good again.
Get relief now.
What are you waiting on? Make the call to QC Kinetics. Tell them Emmitt Smith sent you.
Call QC Kinetics, 850-391-4280. That's 850-391-4280. 850-391-4280.
If you've been considering getting a new hot tub or upgrading your existing hot tub, now's the absolute best time to do it. Hot Spring Spas has the jets on full blast, and the prices right now have never been hotter. You can find huge savings at Pinch A Penny Pools and Spas, and we mean huge. For a limited time, you can get up to $5,000 off in instant discounts and rebates, plus 60 months, no interest financing for qualified buyers. You heard that right, $5,000 in discounts. And that's not all. When you buy a hot spring spa from Pinch A Penny Pools and Spas, you'll get a free consultation to determine the best placement in your yard for installation, a free accessory of your choice, and install can be completed in just a matter of days. It's the most aggressive rebate program that's ever been available to buyers from Hot Spring Spas. So stop by Pinch A Penny Pools and Spas on Greer Road today to check out their 12,000 square foot showroom with over 50 hot tubs on site. If you're ready to relax, Pinch A Penny Pools and Spas is ready to show you how.
T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark Construction.com. We conquer all peaks. We fix those darn leaks. Call 850-766-1340. T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark Construction.com.
License number CCC 1331204.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 and Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Fun times for Florida State. I don't know, like, as we speak right now to the coaches at the luncheon, I'm going to first guess here before we get over there, Tom, that God, what an eager anticipation this must be. I mean, it's when you're thoroughly prepared for something, it's an exciting moment to see it come to fruition. I know you've had to speak publicly. We do every day on the air. That's different than standing before an audience and giving a speech. I know you've done that, and so have I. When you're thoroughly prepared and the moment arrives, it doesn't mean you don't have butterflies. It doesn't mean you're not concerned of how you'll perform. But it also includes an eagerness to let fly what you have put so much effort into, and to be able to showcase the blood, sweat, and tears that went into this moment where you're going to, you hope, perform admirably. I think it's especially true of athletics. Like when you get an opportunity to showcase, after all of this training, all of this work, whether it be technique or endurance or strength, when you have that kind of buy-in as a team, the way this group does, and you're a coach presiding over your segment group, you can't wait. Now, you won't tell them that on a Monday or a Tuesday or a Wednesday at practice, but you can't wait to watch this continue to grow, blossom, and shine in that opening game. And as the season unfolds, this is your opportunity for having put in that hard work. And now here they sit on the precipice today of camp beginning, and they have something to say about it. They have something that they can do about it. When you don't have the requisite weaponry to get it done and you're going to a gunfight with a knife, you got a real problem. When you have equal armament, you can't wait to showcase what you guys have done to refine that. And I think if I'm the coaches right now, this is like Christmas, man. You're a kid in a candy store, because let's just say, I'm Ron Dugans and that's my wide receiving core. Holy moly, do I have options. Man, I can't wait to watch this defense struggle with the dynamic elements of what I have in this segment group. If I'm Alex Atkins and I got 12 fighting for 5, and competition is at its peak every day, and I'm getting the most out of some physically gifted monsters, I can't wait to unleash that fury. If I'm one of these 5 running backs that's going to get a lot of playing time and I'm healthy and ready to go, yeah, sure, Trey Benson may be atop the mountaintop here, but these other 4 guys know they can play, and they're going to get carries. It's a matter of where they sit in that depth chart and how many of those carries they're going to get. And on we go, whether it's the defensive line or secondary where there are a lot of bodies. This is different than it's been.
Yeah, I think coaches can miscalculate. They have done so a bunch in Florida State's recent history, and everybody feels like an idiot when that happens.
You can lie to yourself, sure.
Yeah. The thing about this season that's so unique is just how many players you have returning. So the basis of expectation is built upon things you've seen already as a fan and as a coach. So I think we're reliably assuming that Florida State, at worst case, if they're healthy, is going to win 9 games, and that would be a disappointing year. But, I mean, they're not going to win 8 if they're healthy. It'll be 9, 10, 11, or 12.
We got a different conversation we're having at the end of an 8-win season this year, Tom. A very different conversation.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't think it's going to be 9. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, because it's not like you're breaking in 8 new starters across both sides of the ball at key positions. Yeah, you've got some replacements, but they're from the portal or they're veterans, and they've proven it at the collegiate level. Like, that's where I think that we begin the conversation, which is, you've proven that you can do X. Can you take it to the next level and do Y? And that's what this is about. The other things that I've seen, especially at Charlotte, it looks like the core of this team, when you're talking about leadership, it's set, it's healthy. The offense and the defense like each other. Certainly their 2 captains do, unofficially speaking, in Jared Verse and Jordan Travis. They were cutting it up the whole time that they were there in Charlotte. Yeah. And they were FaceTiming other players like Trey Benson, and he's definitely a leader on this group. Like, every position group that you want to look to for Florida State this year, if you're not talking special teams, you're just talking offense, defense, they have a veteran who's been here forever in this program at least, the 2 deep at some place, if not outright starting. So that's the good news. You have stability. The second part of Charlotte that has me wondering, are the assistant coaches going to echo this? Mike Norvell just looks so confident because of the work that they've put in. It looks like he is genuinely impressed that they handle their business in the offseason. He gave that off at the end of spring, job well done kind of energy. He gave it off again next week. There wasn't any darting of the eyes, if you want to use an old Jimboism. You didn't see very many points of weakness where he's like, well, we've got to clean that up.
Yeah.
He looks very assured that they set an itinerary before the players and some goals, and they met those goals. And now it's time to do the next thing, which is camp.
It's the coolest moment for a coach. It's a nerve-wracking moment for a player, though, and that'll be interesting to watch play out. I mean, when you get players on edge competing, it's the best for us as observers. But it's tough as a player because there's so much talent. You have got to be on it every day. The intensity, the focus, and the violence. It's every day, man. And it's a finite period. It's a very short period of time with which to make your case. And that is what you're striving for. That's I remember you and I having the conversation about how violent LSU's defense was a number of years ago. It was actually before that Joe Burrow season, because the Joe Burrow season is legendary for its offensive prowess and unreal numbers that they posted. The previous great LSU team was the one that was ferocious defensively, and every time you looked up, you thought, well, that could be a penalty. They're just hitting everybody really, really hard. And when those guys had a chance to talk about it, whether it was the Honey Badger or anybody else, they would all say, well, that's born out of practice because every guy here is cutthroat trying to take my job. And so I got to bring it every day. They're not quite at that level of elitism.
Yeah.
But there's a level now that is way above where they've been. I think camp will, I think, in many ways reflect that intensity.
Yeah, so the redundancy of the depth chart, right? I just released an exhaustive depth chart on the site yesterday. It was going through offense, defense, even some special team stuff, which, spoiler on that, that's wide open kind of across the board, unless your name is Mastromano. Yeah. Everything else is kind of wide open. But I think it is freshmen that could push you, a group of freshmen that could push you to that elite level that you're talking about. You can't count on that. You cannot count on that. But if you have some of the members of the secondary that are freshmen and have body types that are already fit for upper level Power 5 football, and it clicks on for a KJ Kirkland or a Quindarius Jones or a Conrad Hussey who will be entering his first camp. And then at linebacker, if Blake Nicholson can be somebody who, again, doesn't have to play every down, but is a reliable backup to go with Omar Graham, like you're going to need a couple of those types of players to emerge in order for us to get in that conversation that you're talking about with practice depth and, the fear of losing a job if you're an Akeem Dent or a Shaheem Brown. We're nowhere close to that. We're nowhere close to that at the second level. But if you have a few freshmen stand out, you can get there pretty quickly. Receiver, too, with Vandrevius.
Well, I think you are there on offense at some positions for sure. The offensive line, I think you're there for the second and third, the third receiver position. Yeah. I think you're there to some degree in terms of reps at tight end. I think you're there, like I said, at running back in terms of reps, who's getting second and third reps. Yeah, you're definitely there.
Yeah.
So that's where we're not there is at starting quarterback. But I'll tell you what, second and third string quarterback, that's a battle. That's a real battle. I'm not assuming that Rodemaker has got that locked up as we get into the season. I think that there's real talent in that group now that will continue to push it. It'll only improve when Kromenhoek gets here later on. Not this year, obviously, but when that happens, I think that will be exciting as well because there are guys that I think will push him. Going into the season, certainly I think Tate's your backup. But as the season goes on, I'll be curious to see because I think those guys are going to get opportunities to play.
I know people love golf analogies out there. It's Sunday morning. Tate Rodemaker is the leader, and because Jordan's in his own world. So Tate is the leader. How many shots of a lead does he have on a Sunday morning to be the backup?
Yeah, he's a guy that's maybe won the 3M Open or the Wyndham. Right. He's never won a major.
This is the 3M.
He's only, he's been all right in moments. He's been kicking around that, he's making cuts, but you don't think of him as a killer.
Right.
And now he has a 2-shot lead on a Sunday.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'd have him aroround a 4-shot lead. I think it's
I can see. Yeah, on the upper reaches, I might give you 4, 3. I root for Tate because there's a real ability there to spin it.
Yeah.
He's a good athlete too.
Yep.
Very good athlete. He is so up and down, and it's so strange to watch. He can be great. He can be terrible. Up until the Louisville game last year, he was nothing but terrible all the time.
Yeah.
Until he wasn't in that moment. but that's one moment. So I just find it fascinating. I think it's a little bit closer than people realize. Yes, it's Tate's to lose.
Yeah. He's got fewer excuses because in practice now you've got an offensive line with a pulse in the second string.
He's been here 100 years. He knows the offense. He's behind a good offensive line. He's got weapons behind him. They're loaded at wide receiver. They finally have tight ends. If he's bad now, you got to go.
Well, yeah, I'm talking about, when we get to practice report time, not necessarily game performance, but, if Tate has rough days in practice, assuming that the offensive line is completely healthy, which I'm going to, assume that Robert Scott comes back into the fold, and whether he's in the rotation out the gate as a 1 or not, that's still a 2 deep, and Tate will be running with a good left tackle protecting his blind side in practice, and you've got Armella and Lucas Simmons, and so you've got a lot of pieces.
You got dudes, man.
Right. So if you perform poorly in practice with these dudes, you've got fewer excuses, to your point, because of the experience. But then also, if we had a bad day with a second string offense a year ago in fall camp, that's understandable. We don't really have a whole lot of veteran options who can block things, especially when Bless Harris goes down. Like, everything got pressed, and Caden Lyles wasn't available. The second team offensive line wasn't very good last year. In this camp, it's going to be good. And the other part of it that gets really fun, I know you were privy to it too, but how effusive was Jordan Travis in his praise of Brock Glenn? I mean, he talked about him an awful lot. I asked a question, Ira asked one, but, he could give it a 5-word answer and then go to the everyman. Well, AJ's doing a great job. He was effusive about what Brock Glenn is.
How could he not be, Tom? We saw it. We got a snapshot of it. We saw how quickly that kid took to the offense, how quickly that kid made right decisions, how physically he looked the part. I don't know how you can't be effusive in your praise of Brock Glenn. Now, is he prepared to start this year or get out there and play a ton of football? Probably not. Probably not. It seems unreasonable an expectation for a freshman, a true freshman. But damn, man, that kid took to it rather easily. And if that's the kind of progress you see in one spring camp as an early enrollee, imagine what he's going to be, with an off season to continue to study and work with these guys, and then a full fall camp. Yeah, he could come a long ways.
He could. And look, you never want to put a kid on a pedestal just to knock him down. The growth at this level, your first year on campus is probably a steady climb, but there might be dips along the way. Yeah, exactly. It's not completely linear. But, I mean, when you've got tools and people are talking, and Brock has the tools to make the throws, and he looks as calm as he does. But then you've got a veteran quarterback who's been through a whole lot in his career saying, I'm wowed by his maturity. Damn. So you've got the mind for it. The speed isn't too fast for you, and then you're taking care of business behind the scenes. Yeah, man, when the second and third team are on the field, and the fourth team in Brock's case, when you're watching these reps, this is a battle, and it's not going to stop because camp ends. It's going to continue on through practice to see who could be the second guy off the bench.
Who's under more pressure? Tate Rodemaker holding off those trying to take the second spot at quarterback, or A.J. Duffy trying to remain at the very least third on the depth chart?
A.J. Duffy, I think.
Yeah. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 90.
At Epps Decorating Center, we're your locally owned Benjamin Moore retailer. We're your store for quality with brilliant and durable paints in a variety of sheens and thousands of colors. We're your store for service with one-on-one advice for contractors and homeowners. We're your local experts, and we're here to help with all your painting projects. Benjamin Moore, available at Epps Decorating Center with 2 locations in Tallahassee. Find a store near you and visit EppsDecorating.com. That's EppsDecorating.com.
My man, Eddie.
Jeff, what's happening, dude?
Bears eating people all over the place. I read another article today. It's the third one in the last month of somebody getting mauled to death by a bear.
Man, bears have their own space. You got to let them have that.
You do. You got to stay clear of bears, is what you're saying?
Yes.
I got a question for you. Here you go. If you had to be mauled to death, eaten alive by any animal in the world, which would you choose to eat you alive?
Ooh, I think maybe I'd want, I don't know, longevity time, a mouse?
Just a slow burn.
Slow burn.
This thing just finished the pinky. It's been a month.
I could go to work. I could still do my thing. I could probably live 30 years.
I thought you were going to say great white because it'd be quick, or a grizzly. We went with mouse.
Yeah, mouse.
Okay. Mouse it is.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans, a mortgage experience designed around speed, simplicity, and customer service. Before you buy your next home, contact our friend Shannon Young with Legendary Home Loans. Visit FSUHomeLoans.com. FSUHomeLoans.com.
Hunter Deckers amongst 4 linked with Iowa State gambling, charged with tampering. Here we go, guys. Iowa State quarterback Hunter Deckers has been accused of betting on events involving Iowa State. Not good. Including a 2021 football game. Really not good. And is among 4 current or former athletes at the university charged with tampering with records related to ongoing investigations by the Iowa Criminal Division. Really, really, really not good. An affidavit included with the criminal complaint filed on Monday in the Iowa District Court for Story County alleges that approximately 366 bets totaling close to $3,000 were placed on DraftKings Sportsbook account linked to Deckers, including 26 bets on Iowa State sporting events. The affidavit alleges that he bet on Iowa State football against Oklahoma State. It's the old Pete Rose defense, but I bet on my own team. Deckers did not play in the Big 12 contest. That helps. And the affidavit does not reveal which team or what type of bet he made on the game. Well, maybe he bet against them. I don't know. The Cyclones did win the game 24-21. It also alleges that Deckers was under 21, the legal betting age in Iowa, so he's underage gambling, when most of the bets were placed, but that he disguised his identity with the help of his parents.
Oh.
What are we doing out here, Scott and Jamie Decker? Get it together. DraftKings did not respond to a request for comment. Deckers is a junior. He started all 12 games last season for the Cyclones, was their expected starter for 2023. His attorney said the quarterback will plead not guilty to the charge. In the meantime, he will, however, step away from the team. The reason being he'd like to focus on his studies.
Okay. So other than that, he's fine.
Yeah.
You know?
Iowa State opens the season against Northern Iowa, who's a little froggy. That Northern Iowa club has given some teams trouble over the years in the state of Iowa. The school lacks a lot of proven depth behind Deckers. They'll have to go with redshirt freshman Rocco Beck. And that wouldn't be good. So we'll see from here. The NCAA recently updated its penalties for student athletes who violate its gambling policy. Those who bet on their own games or other sports at their school face a loss of collegiate eligibility, which seems completely fair to me, by the way. Yeah. That's very different than I play for Florida State. I bet on the Celtics to win by 2 last night, right, as opposed to I play for Florida State and I'm betting on the Noles. This is a problem. Current Iowa State athletics Panero Johnson, a sophomore wrestler, and Dodge Saucer. These 2 names, Panero Johnson and Dodge Saucer, both great names. Dodge Saucer is the best of names. Anyhow, he's a sophomore football player, also former Cyclones football player Ua Kazurki, which I didn't say properly, also have been charged with tampering with records and aggravated misdemeanor. These kids basically, Dodge Saucer, made approximately 113 online bets at over $3,000. He bet on 12 Iowa State football games. So that would be all of them, Alex. Johnson, who won a Big 12 wrestling title last year as a freshman, is alleged to have placed about 1,283 bets. I like this Johnson character.
Man,
he bet $45,000.
I hope this part of it is known. This part with these 2 kids, the Johnson Saucer, issue. You just call it the Johnson Saucer issue.
Well, it's like early explorers. That's the Johnson Saucer expedition, is it not? Johnson, who won a Big 12 wrestling title last year, is a guy I'd like to have a beer with. That's not in the story. I'm letting you know that because my man, again, had 1,283 bets at over $45,000, 25 bets on Iowa State athletic events. My man loves Iowa State, believes in Iowa State, and goes to the sports bar with his buddies, large pitchers of beer, and we're throwing down out here tonight on a Wednesday, Tom Lang. I want to hang out with my man.
Okay, PR and legal teamwork here. Did you say 25 bets on Iowa State athletics?
Hold on.
It was the most recent thing you said. Was it 25?
25 bets on Iowa State athletics.
Okay, this is an easy one to defend for that kid. Look, a lot of people have vices in this world. My client, gambling could be considered one. But please consider this as well. If you think it's because of inside knowledge that he's betting on Iowa State, in the over 1,200 bets that he's placed, merely 25 have been on Iowa State. This represents a 2% figure. 98% of my client's bets, and he's got a problem, understand, are not on Iowa State.
My man likes the action. He likes the action, Tom Lang. This is a dude. Hey, he's got a job waiting on him for one of these gambling services if it doesn't work out in his current effort. I mean, my man, come on into the fold and tell everybody about the joys of DraftKings, because Lord knows you would know more than most.
Yeah, yes, indeed. What's it like to, if you are trying to influence college kids to become gamblers, this is the guy I want as my influencer. It's like, what are they thinking at 19? What are they thinking? Well, let me tell you what they're thinking. First of all, you got a first quarter number here that's really key. I mean, he would go list it down. 1,200 bets. Dude, that's 4 a day. That's 4 a day in a year.
He's getting it. Yeah. Well, go big or go home, Tom. I mean, what are we doing here? By
the way, he's not going big. He's going incremental.
You gotta bet in bulk, by the way, to really win. So this is how this works. That's 10 games, 12 games every Saturday. You got a lot of action. You got to do what you got to do. Now the NCAA's got a problem with it, as they do, but. Again, I have to be impressed with Panero Johnson and Dodge Saucer. If we ever make it to Des Moines, I want to hang out with Dodge and Panero. I'll give you a call and I'll stream it. Hey, Tom, I'm with Dodge and Panero. We're getting loose, baby. We got all kinds of action on the games tonight here in Des Moines.
It's Johnson Saucer Saturday in Des Moines. Let's go. Yeah. Some of these kids are not going to come back from this.
No, they're not going to make it, Tom.
Let the lesson be learned. It's just like when you go into a casino, it is more than the movie Casino, which is really dated now in terms of surveillance. There's facial recognition. There's all kinds of crazy stuff to make sure that they're not getting cheated. Even though they do cheat, they cross that line a little bit against you. Doesn't matter. They're the house. They set the rules. If you think that that's different just because you download an app instead of walking to a casino or a sports book, you are mistaken, young men.
Quite clearly.
You are gravely mistaken. They're watching.
So can we circle back in the remaining couple of minutes we have in this segment? His parents like the juice. The one guy's parents like the juice. How crazy is it that an NCAA athlete at Iowa State calls mom and dad and says, hey, I want to get down on this game tonight, but I'm underage. Can we work something out here where you'll vouch that I'm 21, or I'll lie about my birth certificate, whatever it is? Because they're included in all of this. That is crazy. With the aid of his, allegedly, with the aid of his parents.
Yeah.
Holy moly. This is a family of addicts.
Yeah, I don't know where he went to high school, but I do know that his house was the prom after party that everybody wanted to go to.
Yeah.
Judging by his parents' behavior on just gambling.
100% his parents are the parents that operated under the philosophy, my kids are going to drink anyhow. Why not have them under my roof when they do?
Yep.
And they took it a step further. My kids are going to drink anyhow. I'd rather them be here than anywhere else, and I'll provide the alcohol. That's right. The step that they've taken.
And I'll slam a few with him. I've been to that party. Mr. Koya slamming him back. And it's like,
hey,
dude, couldn't you be somewhere else? Like, this doesn't feel right. Like, I appreciate the hookup here, my man, but shouldn't you kind of be somewhere else? This is
Come
not
over
good.
here, Tommy Lang.
Yeah.
Let's get us one. Jeez Louise. Yeah, that always felt uncomfortable when you went to that house. You're like, yeah, I think your parents have crossed over into that not cool thing. Like, it's all right when they look the other way on some things, and that's nice because they remember being kids too. Now they're dealers. Now we're this is not good. Now,
wait a minute. Are you chasing your glory days, or are you letting us live ours? I don't. Yeah. I think it might be the former. I think that's why you're standing here in the island in the kitchen.
You're supposed to be accused of living vicariously through your son, not actually living with your son doing those things out. We gotta move on from this, partner. This ain't gonna get it done.
You know what, guys? I know it's crazy. I think I want to leave. Yeah, I think we do. I think we should.
We should leave.
I know. It's a shame to leave this fridge behind. Go ahead, sneak some into your bag, but we need to get out of here.
Yeah, no, you get uncomfortable. You're like, we've gone too far here, Dad. Dad, can I have $1,000 to bet on the Cyclones this weekend? You bet, son. What's the bet? Hey, let me in on the juice. Hour number 2 forthcoming. Stay with Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Power Mill Training Academy equips motivated athletes focused on baseball and softball with the specific tools to reach their true potential. Now, you'll read that if you go to their website, but I'm here to tell you that, look, whether it's your daughter wanting to play softball, your son wants to play baseball, or maybe they just want to have fun and get the most out of their abilities, and that's where Power Mill comes into play. They've got coaches and camps that teach for every level of play for your son or your daughter. To learn more, go to PowerMillSports.com.
Honey, I just got a text from Dave. He wants us to come over for a barbecue. What's our excuse for not going?
Oh, no need for an excuse anymore because Dave got a new grill from Hearth and Patio.
Oh, thank goodness. Dave, we will be happy to join y'all this weekend, and congrats on the new grill from Hearth and Patio. My wife said she would bring potato salad.
Hearth and Patio invites you to elevate your grilling game this year with one of their amazing grills from Fire Magic, Royal Master, or Blaze Grills. Call them today, 850-727-4282. That's 850-727-4282, or visit them online at hearthpatiotallahassee.com. Hearth and Patio, making barbecues great in the Sunshine State.
Honey, Dave said no raisins in the potato salad this time.
Call them today, 850-727-4282. That's 850-727-4282, or visit them online at hearthpatiotallahassee.com.
There's no doubt that buying a home can feel overwhelming, especially if it's your first home. You're worried about location, school zones, square footage, inspections, insurance, loan approvals, interest rates, and of course the price. Buying a home could be the most significant investment you've ever made. But there's good news. You have our friends at Legendary Home Loans, and they're on your side and in your corner. They're going to go to bat for you. Shannon Young from Legendary Home Loans can help first-time home buyers get up to $25,000 for your down payment. For first responders, veterans, teachers, military, and healthcare workers. And that's not all. Shannon is an expert navigator of the home loan terrain, and you can trust that he's going to get you the most competitive interest rates and guide you through the process every step of the way. Plus, Shannon will also get your closing costs reduced. It's the Hometown Heroes program at Legendary Home Loans. Give them a call today, 844-FSU-LOAN. That's 844-FSU-LOAN. Or go to FSUHomeLoans.com and ask for Shannon Young.
Never boring. We always give you the story behind the story when you catch the Ed Dean radio show. And we are ready to go. Tallahassee daily, 5 to 6 p.m. It's the Ed Dean radio show on Real Talk 93.3 FM. WVFT.
A cup of Joe, Java, brew, go-go beans, brain water, liquid lightning, wakey juice, whatever you call your cup of coffee, you're missing out if it's not Grassroots Coffee. At grassrootscoffee.com, you'll find an easy way to order the best roasted coffee beans available. It's very simple. Choose the blend you want and how you want it ground, and the bag you receive will have the date your beans were roasted and packaged on it, all written by hand and signed by the roast master himself. You'll know that's as fresh as it gets. You can get Grassroots outside of your house also at some of your favorite restaurants in town. Next time you're out to eat, try asking for Grassroots Coffee by name, because there's a good chance they will have it for you. And if you own a business, Grassroots Coffee has options to stock your break rooms with all the productivity powder your team needs. Plus, like some other options that you'll find at work, Grassroots Coffee actually is a part of our community. Hit grassrootscoffee.com today and get yourself a treat. Some locally owned, locally roasted, and locally loved Grassroots Coffee.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV.
Live and local. Real Talk
The
93.3.
best drinks and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
The latest betting odds and live movements from Vegas. This is your action update. Now here are your latest lines from our guys in the desert.
Pitching duel in the Bronx is Shane McClanahan, 11-1 with an ERA of 3, takes the mound for the Tampa Bay Rays today, plus 100 or even money against the New York Yankees and Garrett Cole. Cole 9-2, a 2.64 ERA. He's $1.10 favorite, 7.5 under the total at Yankee Stadium. Johnny Chirinos with the start today for the Atlanta Braves. He's $1.42 home favorite against Lucas Giolito and the Angels, plus 132, 10.5 flat the total. Danny Hamlin plus 650 with the Firekeepers Casino 400 at Michigan on Sunday in the NASCAR Cup Series. Get your free VSiN subscription right now at VSIN.com. For more sports betting news and information, go to VSIN.com. Mike Son at Real Talk 93.3.
Hold up, you're using Swiffer Power Mop? What would Mom say?
Oh, she'd be like, a mopping bucket is the only way to deep clean your floors. And I'd be like, Mom, this is the new Swiffer Power Mop, the all-in-one that gets you a mop and bucket clean in half the time.
She'd never believe you.
I'd say, look, the solution's built right in, so no heavy bucket. And the pad has hundreds of scrubbing strips to get into grout lines. That's why you're the smart one.
Really?
What? Mom said it.
The new Swiffer Power Mop. Don't mop harder, mop smarter.
There's your captain. Better buckle your seatbelts for this one. I saw my passport expired, so I went to Staples, got a passport photo lickety-split. While I was there, I grabbed some tiny travel soap and shampoo. I should have got some for my co-pilot. Just kidding, Brad.
Staples has everything for travel. 10-minute passport photos, luggage, headphones, even personal travel items. And now at Staples, get $10 off your purchase of $30 or more when you buy a travel service. Staples, your first stop to nonstop travel. Ends 9/16. In-store only. Exclusions apply.
Honey, I just got a text from Dave. He wants us to come over for a barbecue. What's our excuse for not going?
Oh, no need for an excuse anymore because Dave got a new grill from Hearth and Patio.
Oh, thank goodness. Dave, we will be happy to join y'all this weekend, and congrats on the new grill from Hearth and Patio. My wife said she would bring potato salad.
Hearth and Patio invites you to elevate your grilling game this year with one of their amazing grills from Fire Magic, Royal Master, or Blaze Grills. Call them today, 850-727-4282. That's 850-727-4282, or visit them online at hearthpatiotallahassee.com. Hearth and Patio, making barbecues great in the Sunshine State.
Honey, Dave said no raisins in the potato salad this time.
Call them today, 850-727-4282. That's 850-727-4282, or visit them online at hearthpatiotallahassee.com.
Siri, tell me a joke. The past, present, and future walk into a bar. It was tense.
All jokes aside, the trained professionals at Mac & More Systems are serious about Apple products. For all your Mac repairs, call Mac & More Systems at 894-3622. 894-3622.
A bed of Zaxby's crinkle fries, hand-breaded chicken, hardwood smoked bacon, and buttermilk ranch. It's the perfect comfort food. Pillows sold separately. Chicken bacon ranch loaded fries. Woo, saucy!
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
be here. How are you? In your office cubicle, trying to avoid getting caught watching the live stream. Those of you who took the day off and are doing something in your garage, and you just got the show on in the background, all y'all, welcome in. It is good to be here. We just came back from the luncheon, and yeah, it was good. Wait, my audio didn't cut out. My audio. There we go, everybody. Don't do that, old dad. It's your system. It's always your system. It's not us. Get it together.
Director is verifying just in case.
Yeah, on Twitter, it's at J Cameron Show. And yeah, so it was good to talk. Talked a bit with Tony Tokarz. I really enjoy talking with him. He's a fun guy to kind of get to know and to listen to talk about his quarterbacks and every facet of their game and who's emerging as a fierce competitor. Tom and I just got done last hour at one point talking about the quarterbacks and who we thought might challenge Tate. And Tony would admit that he thinks he's got a talented room and that there are guys who might do just that, Tom. And he didn't shy away from the conversation. That was cool.
He never does.
No. He also he's also interesting in that there's a guy that will talk to you about players who, when he gets them, where are they at in development? And he doesn't, so for example, Brock is, as he said, further along than most. And so it's odd. You and I were just kicking around this idea that there's somebody there who hasn't been there very long, who is quickly elevating. And he said, well, the reason for that is because he puts himself in positions to succeed because he understands the game and what we're trying to do. Now, that is high praise for a kid who's been here for one camp. But he also correctly, I think, noted, hey, AJ is a kid that his first year of playing quarterback turns out to be a COVID year. Then he ends up at IMG where they're so far superior to everybody they're playing. It's not a really high competitive league for him. And then he's here. So it's been hard for him.
Yep. With a bad offensive line to work with day in and day out in camp.
Yeah.
That's worth pointing out. By the time he gets on the field for practice with the reps that he's going to get, you got walk-ons blocking. And there are better than walk-ons on the defensive line. So you've got to make decisions at a rate, I would argue, that you're never going to have to make at Florida State because their offensive line situation is fixed. So what A.J. Duffy was experiencing was Florida State's offensive line from 2018. It was that kind of bad in practice. But now he's going to have better players in front of him, more skilled players, so it's a more honest evaluation.
Yeah, without question. And basically the theme for this week and for the start of camp and for Let's Get It On is you have to come with it. Everybody's got competition now. Didn't have competition before. Lots of competition everywhere you look. What a wonderful thing. I said that to Adam Fuller today. I said, hey, listen, I'm going to take off my, reporter cap, journalist cap, and just not be objective in any way. If I just tell you as a fan of the game and of the team and whatever it might be, the university, obviously, having gone there, it's kind of like, can I just say this to you? This is so much better going to this year's camp than last and certainly the years before, because I know that every segment group on a given day, let's say it's my day to watch running backs or quarterbacks or wide receivers or offensive line or defensive line. We all take turns a lot of times with this stuff. And I'm typically kind of the floater. And I would just tell you that whenever that's the case, I now know I'm watching very real competition between people who are desperate to get those reps, and that elevates everybody. And that's just fun. That's just so different than it's been. And he didn't want to obviously besmirch those that have played here previous, but it acknowledged the level of competition is going to be different this year. So that's cool.
It just is day in and day out. Like you're thinking about, I know I am already. You've got 3 afternoon practices. It flips to morning starting next week. They go to Jacksonville for 2 days next week. So they go through all that. Learned a little something today. Aslan asked the question while we were munching on some food. The coaches stay in dorms too. Like they rough it just as much as the players do. That's kind of interesting. And so he asked one of the coaches, is it like a twin bed? He goes, might be smaller. It's a very loud mattress. They're old and terrible, but it's just that's the kind of thing that they all go in for it together. But that's one of its own pieces of adversity that the coaches want to throw at them because they don't have the creature comforts. Then they come back the following week after the Jacksonville trip, and they go Tuesday through Saturday every day. And those are the dog days of camp. There are no more two-a-days like the old school way of doing things. But that's when you're going to see those kids who have what you're talking about, what you're alluding to with the competition. The kids who are consistent when it's day after day after day. That's where you can make headway. If you're a defensive back, the third or fourth wide receiver, maybe the third running back, offensive line, any number of positions. I'm ready for this to start, and you could sense it. All of them, they were ready for it too.
The first thing that I'm going to be looking for is slot receiver. It's the very first thing I want to see. We certainly talked about it when you and I went over the position groups and the battles and who's going to emerge where, and we've kind of asked this question in a lot of different ways. But I think you'll know once they put the pads on anyhow. I think you'll know very quickly where we stand with Winston Wright. Whether he's ready to go or not. This isn't a case any longer where you understand, like they eased him back as one would, and they eased him back into, first of all, just running. Then they eased him back to running, routes. Then they eased him into wearing pads but not being hit. And they've spent a lot of time slowly building him back to where they can kind of cut off the training wheels there and say, let it go. They don't have time to continue to allow for development. That's not to say you turn your back on a guy, but you got to know right now if he's ready to play and be the guy you recruited from West Virginia who had already done it at a high level. If he's not going to be that guy, you have alternatives. You have guys that can fill that role and really excel, I think. But one of them's never played college football. And if he's the answer, then he's going to need to get a ton of reps before the LSU game. And I don't know if he's the answer or not, speaking of Vendravius Jacobs. He's never played in a college football game. So I think that the whole quote-unquote position-by-position segment group competition that we keep talking about, that's the one that I'm going to go look at first. Your third receiver, your slot receiver, who's emerging there, and is it Winston Wright? And if it's not, they'll know within a week.
Yeah, and on the offensive line, I talked to Alex Atkins' extended video. That's what you can find on Warchant TV. All of the coaches' videos are up there now, so when we're done with the show today, maybe that's a good way to watch those and then keep an eye on the Board of Trustees meeting in case there are fireworks there. But Alex was saying about Jeremiah Byers that they want to really fortify his comfort level at tackle first, which I found interesting and newsworthy. They want him to be comfortable at tackle first before he moves him around. Now, I don't think that's going to prohibit them from moving Byers, but this is the beginning of the camp before. If the changes are made during camp, we basically can't comment on them. That's the way of things. But Alex said that, it is 100% their first goal for Jeremiah to play him at tackle, which I find interesting given the potential rotation there. And then he said Maurice Smith is far and away the starting center at this point, and that Casey Roddick can earn his way into that competition.
Well,
but it's what we've all said.
Cut and dry, couldn't snap it.
Correct. And he said that, I've told Mo, I'm trying to replace you. I'm trying to replace you.
Desperately.
And he always is up to the challenge. He says, bring it on. So that's where they are right now at that particular position, which means that the guard shuffle gets even more complicated when you're trying to sort out who you're going to be your top two.
Good news for Maurice. They have him weighing in at, what was that, 295, somewhere in there, I think it is.
Yeah.
You're not buying it, but it's
large enough, right?
Yeah, well, you'd like him to be a lot bigger, frankly, but he's got great feet and technique, and he has fought everybody off. He's had a hard time sustaining weight, but if he plays it between 290 and 300 with that technique, he obviously can be very, very effective. You'd rather have Casey Roddick, who's a 315-pound kid who little bit more in the tank, if you will. But my man, if you can't snap, you can't play center. So it is a done deal there. The Byers part of it intrigues me because I have this feeling, and I've said this when we've been asked to list what we think is going to start and everything else. This gets back to this idea I have in my head that Byers will be the right tackle or the left tackle. and Harris will be the right tackle or the left tackle. So there you go. They're your tackles in some way, shape, or form in my mind. And the immediate response, the retort is, what about Robert Scott? I think Robert Scott projects in the NFL as a guard, oddly, and I think he's athletic enough. And I don't know if you're just trying to get your best five out there. Maybe he's in there at left guard. He could certainly be the tackle. We'll see. But then the other part of that competition is, without question, Dimitri Emmanuel is right or left guard. But then there are other people fighting for that spot too, which we already know. Keandre Jones is one of those guys, and Estes is one of those guys. But I just, in any particular order, Byers, Emmanuel, Smith, Roddick, Harris, and then Scott, it gets tough.
You do the Kirkjian bit. I asked Alex Atkins about Bless Harris, and he told me, I'm glad when coaches say things that our eyes are telling us, because it means that us, who are the untrained at their level, are seeing it correctly. But when we talked about Bless Harris in spring, we said, and the technique has always been there. That's why he was going to start last season for Florida State at right tackle. But he looks stronger. And Atkins echoed that sentiment today, that he got his strength up a little bit this spring in the offseason. So he continues to develop. He already was a starter last year. I think he's going to be one of the two starters, and it's just a matter of Robert Scott getting back up to full speed. That's another thing that Atkins did mention, is that he's getting back to full speed. We'll see what that looks like in practice when we get there tomorrow.
That Scott is getting back to full speed? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It didn't sound the way he answered that question. My radar didn't go up and say, wait a minute. He's not up to 100%. Right. It wasn't anything like that. But I think they're going to ease him back in. It's what it sounds like to me. But you have other tackle options. And forever in a day, we did not have tackle options. And Alex Atkins threw out this other part. He says, my favorite thing in the world is to bench old guys for young guys. Now, I haven't been able to do that yet here because the old guys hold it down every season.
Yeah.
But I told the whole group, my favorite thing to do is bench old guys for young guys. So, I mean, they're going to push a lot of these younger players to see how far they can go.
When you're an old guy who's worked so hard to start and your coach tells you, yeah, I'd like to replace your ass.
Yeah, right. I mean, how good of a relationship does he have to have with Maurice Smith? We're 2 years in a row. The whole world sees it.
I'm trying to bench your ass.
And they're saying,
tiny as you are.
As media, we're like, man, geez, Maurice, what do you do?
Yeah.
Well, his coach tells him right to his face, yeah, I'm trying.
Hey, he's like, I'm not going anywhere.
That's what Maurice is saying. Exactly right.
I ain't got nothing else.
That's right. I got nowhere else to go.
I got nowhere else to go.
And yet their relationship.
I want your DOR.
And Maurice says, hell no.
I ain't got nothing. Don't you do it.
Don't you do
Don't you do it. How many young people are like, what in the hell are these two doing? Great movie, kids. Look it up.
Yeah. And he says, you're starting. Get up, you're starting.
Yeah.
Every year.
Yeah, it happens again. He's out there.
That's right.
They've got the hose, the hole running in the mud. Hey, really quickly, I have a question for you, just because I never asked it. Who plays more this year? Deuce Spann or Destin Hill?
Okay.
Oh, what do we got here, huh?
All right. So are we going to eliminate special team snaps? We're talking about offense?
Yes.
Okay. Here's why I suspect Destin Hill might play more. Here's why. Like Norvell said in his press conference today about the special team stuff, he's excited to see what Deuce can do at kick returns.
Okay, so if we don't have,
I'm using the context
what Deuce can do at kick returns.
Right.
Not Destin. So, okay, that is
now Deuce did show towards the end of spring camp a propensity to be a blocker and a selfless player on the outside. That is always going to be a top priority. Johnny Wilson does it well. Micah before him. Micah Pittman is now gone. But that's got to be a part of the culture of the room. And if Deuce is buying in that way, there was a long run in that game where he and Kentron on the right side were holding their blocks 10, 15 yards down the field. You're going to get a lot of snaps. You might not get a lot of targets. So I think he's got an advantage there over Destin. But I think if you're talking about plays designed for, passes thrown to, I think Destin might be the leader in the clubhouse right now.
It's interesting. I love Deuce, and I want him to take that step forward for this team. I'd like to see him be a star. He's got a skill set and a body type that is just so unique at 6'4", 210, who runs like the wind blows. He's all these things. Never mind the fact that my man went to an esteemed football factory like Lakewood High School. I mean, that's not the bias that you think it is, but it's true. And,
So you're on Team Deuce.
No, I'm not. I think it's going to be Destin Hill. But I'm rooting for my man Deuce. Got that LHS blood in him. Nothing but winners down there, baby. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com. There's no doubt that buying a home can feel overwhelming, especially if it's your first home. You're worried about location, school zones, square footage, inspections, insurance, loan approvals, interest rates, and of course the price. Buying a home could be the most significant investment you've ever made. But there's good news. You have our friends at Legendary Home Loans, and they're on your side and in your corner. They're going to go to bat for you. Shannon Young from Legendary Home Loans can help first-time home buyers get up to $25,000 for your down payment. For first responders, veterans, teachers, military, and healthcare workers. And that's not all. Shannon is an expert navigator of the home loan terrain, and you can trust that he's going to get you the most competitive interest rates and guide you through the process every step of the way. Plus, Shannon will also get your closing costs reduced. It's the Hometown Heroes program at Legendary Home Loans. Give them a call today, 844-FSU-LOAN. That's 844-FSU-LOAN. Or go to FSUHomeLoans.com and ask for Shannon Young.
NMLS number 2270-146.
If you've been considering getting a new hot tub or upgrading your existing hot tub, now's the absolute best time to do it. Hot Spring Spas has the jets on full blast, and the prices right now have never been hotter. You can find huge savings at Pinch A Penny Pools and Spas, and we mean huge. For a limited time, you can get up to $5,000 off in instant discounts and rebates, plus 60 months no interest financing for qualified buyers. You heard that right, $5,000 in discounts. And that's not all. When you buy a hot spring spa from Pinch A Penny Pools and Spas, you'll get a free consultation to determine the best placement in your yard for installation, a free accessory of your choice, and install can be completed in just a matter of days. It's the most aggressive rebate program that's ever been available to buyers from Hot Spring Spas. So stop by Pinch A Penny Pools and Spas on Greer Road today to check out their 12,000 square foot showroom with over 50 hot tubs on site. If you're ready to relax, Pinch A Penny Pools and Spas is ready to show you how.
Discover seasonal sensations full of passion and flavor at Café de Martín and El Bar, a one-of-a-kind culinary and cocktail concept created by classically trained chef Martín Araujo. This summer, escape to your own Peruvian paradise in the capital city and experience handcrafted, colorful, refreshing cocktails like the Chilcano de Maracuyá, made with authentic pisco, mixed with lime juice, passion fruit, a splash of ginger ale, and bitters. Or enjoy a classic pisco sour, made from grapes produced in the nutrient-rich lands of Peru. At Café de Martín and El Bar, everything is handmade from fresh ingredients con amor y pasión, with love and passion. From the moment you open the doors, you're immersed in the culture and transported to Tallahassee's only upscale Peruvian culinary experience, full of surprises with every dish and every drink. It's Café de Martín and El Bar on Capitol Circle Northeast in the Esposito Shopping Center. Open Monday through Saturday for lunch, happy hour, and dinner. Online at cafedemartin.com.
Power Mill Training Academy equips motivated athletes focused on baseball and softball with the specific tools to reach their true potential. Now, you'll read that if you go to their website, but I'm here to tell you that, look, whether it's your daughter wanting to play softball, your son wants to play baseball, or maybe they just want to have fun and get the most out of their abilities, and that's where Power Mill comes into play. They've got coaches and camps that teach for every level of play for your son or your daughter. To learn more, go to PowerMillSports.com. We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans, a mortgage experience designed around speed, simplicity, and customer service. Before you buy your next home, contact our friend Shannon Young with Legendary Home Loans. Visit FSUHomeLoans.com. FSUHomeLoans.com.
Came out yesterday. College sports leaders have always been hypocrites. With Pac-12 flailing in the wind, it's clear everything is up for grabs. Yes. Yes,
Welcome to the
party. Yeah. Well, they are in trouble out there.
Did it just occur to you?
No, I think we have an added chapter. Going the Apple route is the Pac-12.
Subscription related. What the hell is that? Did you see the Thamel tweets yesterday in sequence? First one says it's an Apple streaming deal based on subscriptions. Their annual payout could be higher than the Big 12, but they'd have to reach exceptionally high watermarks of subscriptions. Oh my God.
It could make around $20 million per school is what they're at. Arizona State, Utah probably follow Colorado's lead, go to the Big 12 for the 2024 season and beyond. The Big 12 is offering to its league members $31 million per season. So, yeah, we're in trouble over there.
So one of the schools that has been adamant in their support of the Pac-12 and the Pac, you know what? Peter Collins last night made a joke of passing. I guess it's the Pac-9 now. Ooh, damn.
No, it's reality.
Is Utah. Utah has been, because Utah just arrived. Yeah, that's correct. That's part of it.
My man keeps winning it and making Jeff Cameron some cash.
I think they feel somewhat indebted because they just arrived to this party in the Pac in the terms of
grand opening,
history.
Grand closing.
But if you're an athletic director at Utah and your budget's going to be based upon whether we hit enough subscriptions with Apple TV Plus, like you have to have, if you accept this, if you're a Pac-12 school, you're going to have 3 different budgets based upon how many subs we sell with Apple TV. Nah, man, that's got to be the end of that.
So if Arizona State, and Utah do follow Colorado and leave, you have Cal, Stanford, Oregon, Oregon State, Washington, and Washington State. Washington has, according to insiders that cover the Pac-12, I certainly do not, I watch from afar, has made it abundantly clear that they would like to go to the Big Ten. They're over here. We're open for the idea of going to the Big Ten. Oregon is not going to sit idly by. They're a big boy program now, and Phil Knight is not going to have Oregon as an also-ran. They'll, too, consider going somewhere. Some folks have said, might the ACC and the Pac-12 join forces to create a league that's viable? I don't think many people like that idea. It's a travel nightmare. I know that not a lot of people have been overly concerned about travel in this discussion. Most of the time, it's about the economics. We do know, and we've talked about it, that the super conferences are happening, and the SEC and the Big Ten would prefer to sit at 16 members, but they may have to add, because you could be looking at this 20-team super conference or 24-team super conference sooner rather than later, with the way that the arms race is going and the way that these other conferences are finding themselves on the ropes, to the point where one of them is going to dissolve, cease to exist. I don't think we thought we'd get there that quickly. Did you?
Not this quickly. You never put anything past these universities and the conferences, because of the way that, as dialed in as the national college football media is, they were still stunned at both Texas, Oklahoma, and USC, UCLA. So these administrators at the highest level do a good job of keeping things quiet when they want to. So in that sense, I guess you shouldn't be shocked by anything. But still, this is moving quicker than I thought.
Well, let's get to this. I referred to Wetzel a moment ago, and I'll just read this opening paragraph from his latest story on Yahoo, which reads, "The Big Ten has begun exploratory discussions about expanding membership to 18 or possibly 20 teams. Industry sources have told Yahoo Sports the schools being considered are Oregon and Washington if the league adds 2, perhaps Cal and Stanford if it wants to move to 20. All 4 obviously are in the Pac-12, as we just got done talking about. The discussions are in early stages. No decision, including on whether to expand or stay put at 16, has been made or is considered imminent. The Big Ten patiently waiting to see what happens with the rest of the Pac-12 or the Big 12. But ballooning to 20 teams, isn't this what we said? Oh, yeah, good idea. Let's make that happen sooner rather than later and see if the SEC responds, see if ESPN responds.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question that leverage-wise, Oregon and Washington don't have much. And so the Big Ten, I mean, they could extend that out to these other Pac teams if they wanted. I mean, half share, quarter share.
I don't think they're going to do that.
You don't think that they would go?
I don't think they'd screw
a
them.
3-year initial period or something along those lines, like a walk-up. I think they could if they wanted to.
It's petty. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. They won't need to do it. I'd welcome them in and say, "Come on in. We got you."
You worried at all that Florida State's name is not part of the Wetzel piece?
No, because he's talking solely about the Big Ten expanding with the leftovers of a dissolved Pac-12, which geographically makes more sense once they already went west and grabbed USC and UCLA.
That's the correct answer, because if they were having discussions about adding Clemson and Florida State, they're not allowed to do that because we're tied up beyond this year.
That is correct. And this is all about the lawsuit. The pending lawsuit to be is what we're waiting on here.
Right.
We don't know if the SEC will move to 16 teams by adding Texas and Oklahoma in 2024 and then continuing to add, right? We don't know if they'll add more and more and more, like we've said before. ACC is said to have desirable schools. We also know that everybody thinks that those schools are locked in till 2036, 2037. I don't think that's true at this point. Yes, there are roadblocks for all of this. I just believe that somehow or another, the TV or the league itself or the teams that we're talking about are going to find a way through or around all of this. And I don't have the answer as to how. I don't know. But something tells me none of these teams that we're talking about are going to be sitting in their current state till 2036. Nope.
Oh, there's no way.
No.
I mean, that was said last night.
Yeah.
For our purposes specifically.
They will not do that. And I don't think they'll be there in 2030. And so now you start talking about, well, when do we think it is? 2024, 2025, 2026? I don't know the answer to that.
What's the contingency plan if, let's say, we put in a note or release a note to the ACC now before August 15th? Hey, man, I'm glad that you got to go to Ireland, but are we keeping that? I mean, is there a contract with Aer Lingus and the kickoff that becomes a non-conference game automatically if we're in a different conference? How are we doing this? Make sure the important things are kept important.
Yeah, if you'd like, I'll regale you, if you want, with my experiences in Ireland.
So during week 0, if we don't have that game,
I'll just talk to you about Ireland. As somebody who's been there not once but twice and has seen more of the island, I can go ahead and tell you.
I don't know if I can do that for an hour. So if maybe in the 15 minutes in the middle, you could talk about Jack Nicklaus and Augusta. Maybe that would break it up a little bit.
I could do that too.
That'd be good.
Yeah, in Butler's cabin. Don't forget that was in Butler's cabin.
Was it Bobby Jones?
It was right there in Butler's cabin.
Butler.
And me and Trey and Jack and his wife, lovely wife Barbara. We were all there, just having a conversation as you do at the Masters in Butler cabin.
My favorite part's Tuesdays when we go over to Dwight D. Eisenhower's cabin.
We
all get loose. Really, Jack?
I had to tell Jim Nance, hey, talking to Jack, it's your turn.
Listen here, friend.
Yeah, you slow your roll. Side note, did you ever hear that story that how he came up with Hello Friends was by accident?
Really?
he said it one day as they were coming onto the air because he couldn't think of what he was going to say. Like he usually has, like he's going to introduce a compelling element of the tournament in that moment, right? And then they were on, and he was welcome friends or hello friends or whatever he said. And the producer after that day's coverage was like, you should always do that. It sounded great. It sounded welcoming. It sounded like you opened your front door. You should do it all the time. And of course, him being who he is, he was like, I like it. A signature.
That's right. Yes. Let's get the rights to it.
How can I make as much money as possible with this phrase?
And like that one day you opened Master Sunday talking about the wind, the invisible but invincible and tangible that is known as the wind at Augusta. How long did you work on that for, Jim? Goodness gracious, just say the wind's up.
Why would ESPN pay the SEC more money for adding teams they already have the TV rights to? It makes no sense. Zero financial incentive for ESPN to do that. Right. Unless you dissolve the ACC and you pick off the viable assets from the ACC to make your television product of the SEC that much stronger. And then you save $240 million a year that you're currently spending on the ACC, which is making you pennies on the dollar.
Yeah, you move your money around.
That's the answer to your question. And the reason you would do that is because you also want to play ball with the NBA in 2 years. You want to procure the rights for those live sports, as well as MMA, as well as Formula One, as well as Major League Baseball, as well as the NHL. You move your money around and you take it away from a dying product. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
A suspicious death investigation is currently being conducted at the Rolling Hills Apartments. The victim has been identified as Florida A&M University's Assistant Dean of Students and Director of the Epperson Student Union Activities and New Student Orientation, Andre D. Green. He was located deceased inside of an apartment located at 280 John Knox Road. Foul play has been suspected in the case. This is an active and ongoing investigation. CPD encourages anyone with information to contact the police department at 850-891-4200 or to remain anonymous, call Crime Stoppers at 850-574-TIPS. Tallahassee police announced Tuesday that a man has been arrested in connection with a shooting at the Time Saver convenience store Monday afternoon. The man was identified as 42-year-old Raymond D. Williams. He turned himself in to face charges of second-degree murder in possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by McNamore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at McNamoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Chance for scattered storms this afternoon, otherwise partly cloudy skies. Daytime highs approaching 95, easterly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Chance for scattered thunderstorms again tonight. Lows dip down to about 74, partly cloudy skies. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times tomorrow. Chance for scattered storms, high of 93. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 94.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future. My man, Eddie.
Jeff, what's happening, dude?
Bears eating people all over the place. I read another article today. It's the third one in the last month of somebody getting mauled to death by a bear.
Man, bears have their own space. You got to let them have that.
You do. You got to stay clear of bears, is what you're saying?
Yes.
I got a question for you. Here you go. If you had to be mauled to death, eaten alive by any animal in the world, which would you choose to eat you alive?
Ooh, I think maybe I'd want, I don't know, longevity time, a mouse.
Slow burn.
Slow burn.
This thing just finished the pinky. It's been a month.
I could go to work. I could still do my thing. I could probably live 30 years.
I thought you were going to say great white because it'd be quick, or a grizzly. We went with mouse.
Yeah, mouse.
Okay. Mouse it is. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Uh-oh.
The bountiful chicken sandwich from Zaxby's.
Oh, have I ever.
It's fat. It's delicious. You throw some of the spicy Zax sauce on it, and you think to yourself, I would hate to have to drive all over Hell's Half Acres to find one of these. Luckily, there are 66 Zaxby's in Tallahassee, Florida, so I don't have to traverse the earth for this beautiful thickness that I have in my hands currently.
Hey, now.
And then you bite down on the chicken sandwich and you go, Jeff Cameron's show never steers me wrong. I don't always agree with those guys, but damn it, they're insightful, opinionated, funny, professional, and they're right when it comes to the food that they push on their program. I'm going to get me a giant Zaxby's today and celebrate all that is Zaxby's, a proud Golden Chief booster for over 18 years. Zaxby's and the Jeff Cameron Show make for a perfect Wednesday. Go get you a Zaxby's. There you go.
That's a good concept. Oh, how did this cup appear in my hand?
Yeah, look at you.
Look at that.
It's a giant cup of whatever it is you're drinking.
Oh, it was whatever the director is drinking and eating.
Stopping by the Zaxby's.
Yeah.
Using the hookup with our deal.
He brought up and in some Zaxby's, the smell in the studio, but not enough to share. So that's kind of cruel. That's okay. We've got a relationship like that. I'm sure I'll pull a prank on him in the near future. But, he has some to share. Oh, thank you. Look at that. There you go.
Oh,
you want a finger?
Always.
That's right.
Hey, now. On Twitter, it's at Jay Cameron Show. Oh, my goodness gracious. So, listen, you guys, I guess, are catching up on what we were talking about earlier, but it does work. The Dodge Saucer sounds like a car that gets 88 miles per gallon, and you get it for $129 a month. The Saucer Johnson Project, yes.
Thank you, James B.
Yeah, thank you, James B. Indeed. We had fun. We had fun with the first hour there, and the Iowa State efforts to better themselves. I bathe in Zax sauce. K-Ball. So, are we buying the rumor? Briley says a purveyor of rumor and innuendo here on YouTube is claiming that Djax is going to get the waiver. It's on the TC.
Oh, really?
Mm.
That might have happened since our staff, or
well, no, he said
just a purveyor of inside Florida State knowledge
rumor.
On
yeah,
TC. I see. Well, Adam Fuller was asked about that today. You can find that on our social media feed in addition to the channel. But he said, until Mike tells me that Daryl Jackson's not playing, we're practicing him as normal.
Sure.
So, and he said, don't read into that. That's how it is. I'm going to practice him just like it's anything else.
You should have brought up last night while you were talking to the Board of Trustees Chair Peter Collins on Florida State's future that, Peter, if I may, before we sign off, thanks so much for your time and insight. I just want you to know that in 15 years, you are going to be a spitting image of Bob Hope. You should have brought that up.
I'm going to assume you're correct on that. A lot of people went through the Bob Hope, generations. Not me. I was a little late on the Bob Hope.
Well,
train.
he was around for 15 generations. Bob Hope was old in the 70s.
Yeah, yes. There's a reference in Rocky 3, when he's about to fight Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
And they say, why would you do this? It's for charity.
Bob
Hope would.
Yeah.
Bob Hope would. Bob Hope would.
Oh, yeah. Burgess freaking Meredith. Oddly, I thought Burgess Meredith was on the cusp of death for about 35 years because when he was young, he looked old as hell. And I always loved him. Kind of still do, even though he's dead. And when he finally did die, I'm like, damn it. As if it was shocking that Burgess Meredith had passed. He's old and rocky.
Yeah. The Grumpy Old Men movies. Fantastic.
Oh, he's fantastic.
6 one-liners in each movie.
Dude, there's some heartbreaking stuff going on in Rocky 1 and 2. Scene on the stairwell.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Man.
Screaming his guts out.
Oh, man, that's a toughie.
And then the shame.
Slaps him in the face, the whole thing.
Oh, well, yeah, that's two.
That's two. I'm saying that 1 and 2, there's a lot of gut-wrenching stuff between those two.
One, when he walks away into the street in the alley because Rocky's letting him have it, finally letting it all out.
Yeah, letting it all out.
And then he runs, and there's no dialogue. That's the beauty of that shot. He runs into the distance, turns him around, a beaten man, shakes his hand, and walks away.
Yeah.
And then it's on. Their relationship is renewed. It's pretty cool.
It's good stuff. Well written. Sylvester Stallone, look at you.
Once upon a time.
Who would have guessed it? Who would have guessed it? Yeah, impressive. I don't know, but it seems like, by the way, and once again, I'll reference something I said in hour 1, let them shower us with blame. It seems like lots of people would like somebody to lash out at for the demise of college football as you knew it or as they wanted it. And apparently we're the piñata right now because we're loud and obnoxious regarding our discontent in the ACC. Fine. There'll be another to replace us. It's the way it goes. That's fine. For now, it's our turn, just as it was in 2014. And it's fun to be this guy for now because it's a misplaced anger. We didn't cause the problems that you see now in college football, but we are now in the midst of the fallout from it. And you got to find a way to better yourself. And almost by hook or by crook, you have to do this. And it's pissing a lot of people off, but it's funny to watch the consternation and the lashing out, the hurling of words we cannot say here.
Yeah, this is another thing where typically we'll have a reference like to a Bob Hope or something else, an athlete from the 70s and the 80s, and I'll have a blank look on my face, and you'll say that speaks to the difference in our age. I think it goes the other way when it comes to college football and the business of college football. I grew up, and I think most 30-somethings like me grew up with SportsCenter in the era of free agency. So business and sports were always in our lifetime tied very closely together. And to college football's end, I'll grant you that NIL takes this to a completely different place.
It changes everything. Yeah,
it
sounds
does.
More. Today, Tokar said to me when we were talking about the possibility, Tom, of super conferences and having, the Big Ten West, the Big Ten South, the Big Ten North, the Big Ten. He's like, well, then it just sounds like professional football. I was like, right. Exactly, yeah.
Which is where it's going. But I think we were prepped for this better than most in my generation because we saw the transition from the Bowl Alliance, which I can barely remember, to the BCS, which I can very much remember.
Mm-hmm.
And how everybody pretty much that was in the top 10 was on TV every weekend. I mean, there was a rare occurrence where Florida State's on pay-per-view because they're playing Duke. But for the most part, if I wanted to watch the Noles, ESPN2 had them because they were top 10 in the country. ABC always had the key games of the year for Florida State, CBS, and so on and so forth. But I know that wasn't always the case before our time. I'm just saying, I think if you're probably in your 40s or 50s or beyond, you lament this more than we do in my 30s. We already kind of saw the business of the behind-the-scenes machine working when we were kids. So we're kind of used to this.
Yeah, Garrett, you bring up something here that I've said many times over, and I even said it at the time, but people hated the BCS, but the BCS was solid as hell. BCS was solid.
If it could have just been a BCS for 4.
It was solid.
But the BCS for 4 is not good enough for a 1-hour television show every Tuesday night.
Nobody watches that nonsense, do they? James B. Yeah, I think you're right. Most of the people that are voicing their displeasure hate FSU anyhow. That is true. I think that's true. If you're a behemoth in the sport, and Florida State has spent some time being dormant amongst the behemoths. We're in the back room. We got the den. We didn't get the penthouse, but it's time to retain the penthouse. Kick somebody's ass out down there to the den. I'm tired of being over here in the den, sleeping on a couch. This is not getting it done. You, get out of here. Get out of here, Alabama. Go back down there, wherever it is. You're always going to be a target, but you want to get back to being a target. On and off the field, you're going to be a target if Florida State is headed on and off the field where they want to go. They'll very much be a target, as are all those other programs at various points.
The difference this time around for us is if people hate us, it won't be because of the football team or the coach. In 2014, last time we were relevant on potentially the scale that we could be relevant in the college football discussion this fall, that team was not likable. The team was not likable. We loved it because it was defiance.
Yeah, Not Tonight Haters was the theme,
Right.
Sure.
But this group is easy to fall in love with, I think, in terms of when Florida State football is on the television this fall. And you've got Coach Norvell. He's the one that's on the dais. He's the one
Likeable
answering
cat.
the question.
Yeah.
At questions. Jordan Travis, who is now
very likable cat
and a hell of a lot more comfortable in front of the microphone for the
Correct.
interviews on College Game Day and et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
And Jared Verse, how do you not love that kid when you get an extended
I
interview
could
with
hate him if I rooted for another team very easily.
on the field, but the interviews, you're going to love the kid. I'm just saying we play very
Yeah.
positively.
I love Jared Verse. I'm just saying I could certainly see if I didn't root for Florida State and to watch him talk incessantly would get very old. I think it gets old with his teammates. I think they're like, okay, man, it's hot as balls out here. And after every play, I got to hear, can we just have a play in which you don't yell at me? I could see that, is all I'm saying.
It's almost as hot as a brand new batch of Zaxby's fries. Amazing how warm it is.
Did I miss a break? Because if not, I'm ready to roll on into some probables, baby. You got to be happy with your New York Mets.
I am. Yeah.
They told the world, no mas.
Now,
It didn't work out. We're going to make sure the Houston freaking Astros win again.
Yeah.
Could have done without that.
There's a lot to unpack. You want to go into 5 minutes about it, or you want to just
No,
say
I
I'm
want 5
generally
minutes.
speaking happy?
Yeah, just not the Astros. Come on, man.
The only thing is they say to Max Scherzer they don't want to compete next year. I'm hoping that was just to get him to, pony up and remove
Sign it, and move on.
That's right. The no trade clause. Waive it, and then let's go get Ohtani.
Power Mill, by the way, your sponsor here for this segment that I love. And I want to thank Power Mill. They jumped on board at the start of baseball season. They're right here with us right now, kicking ass, taking names. Equipping and motivating athletes focused on baseball and softball with the specific tools to reach their true potential. It's a roundabout way of saying, look, man, your kids want to have fun while they're playing. Well, one of the best ways to have fun is to be pretty good at what you're doing. That's always more fun than sucking at what you're doing. And so when you go out there and you play well to the best of your ability because you have some fundamentals to you, it's a more fun game to play. And Power Mill will make sure your softball players and your baseball players do exactly that. It's a good thing. Cue it up.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching, probables?
I figured we might lose today after winning last night when they started Eduardo Rodriguez and we started Osvaldo Beto. Sucks.
What's his name?
Osvaldo Beto. Garbage ass.
Sounds about right.
Angels, Braves, Lucas Giolito, Yonny Chinos. Braves are just pasting the Angels today. It's 12-4.
They hit a home run every minute.
Pirates are down, as I mentioned a moment ago, 6-2. Milwaukee and the Nationals. Let's go, Nats! Wade Miley throwing for the Brewers. They lead 2-1. Good game. Come on, Nationals. There's still hope. Mackenzie Gore going for the Nationals. Guardians, Astros. Ooh, that'd be a mismatch. Although Cleveland is up 2-0. Tanner Bibby and Ronel Blanco. Padres and Rockies are warming up, kids. Nick Martinez, Kyle Freeland. We got the Red Sox and the Mariners. Cutter Crawford from AT&T Mobile Park. Logan Gilbert going for the Mariners. Just like the Mariners uniforms. I really do. I like them. Always have, really.
Solid color scheme, and I like that the Kraken played off of it.
Yeah. Like the Kraken's uniforms.
Yep.
Phillies, Marlins, Zach Wheeler, and Braxton Garrett.
Did you see that the Seahawks are also rolling back and going to the old school for a few games this year?
Good. I wish we would play them and we could be in the creamsicles and they could be in their Steve Largent uniforms, and there we go.
Yeah.
Rays, Yankees, Shane McClanahan. Garrett Cole goes for the Yankees. He's good at baseball still. Orioles, Blue Jays, Grayson Rodriguez. Yusei Kikuchi. This will be a good matchup, kids. Twins, Cardinals, Joe Ryan, Dakota Hudson. Joe Ryan sounds like a fake superhero name. It's just Reds, Cubs, Brandon Williamson, Drew Smiley. White Sox, Rangers, Dylan Cease, Dunning, Mets, Royals. Sanga time.
Let's go, Senga-san. That's the 1 out of 5. Him and Quintana. I'll watch those 2 out of 5 for the starts.
Good. Cole Reagan's going to be pitching for the Royals. D-backs, Giants, Slade Ciccone, Logan Webb. A's Dodgers, Hogan Harris. Hogan Harris cracks me up. Anybody call Hogan today? We need it for him. Tony Gonsolin is going to pitch for the Dodgers, and that is a look at those that shall reside on the bump. Man, I do not envy my son. He's got football practice today at 3:45. Woo!
So my apologies to Hogan Harris, brother. I forgot to do that.
There you go. Yeah.
We're in.
Got to get that in there. They did. Yeah. You know, you live long enough to have kids and get old and remember when you played and that you hated putting on pads when it was 98 and humid, and you thought to yourself, I don't, do I love this game? Do I really love this game? Because that's what you're going to find out about yourself when you're throwing on pads in Florida. That's what you're going to find out. How much love do you have for this here game?
Do you miss it?
I don't miss playing. I miss the locker room. I miss the players. I miss the camaraderie. I miss the games. I don't miss the practices in any way, shape, or form. We used to have to lie down in the tall grass to do leg lifts after the run to start with calisthenics, and the laying down in that grass with the itchiness on your arms while it's 100 degrees, and you'd hold your face mask to lift your legs, and you'd say, this is nonsense. My friends are watching the Flintstones and eating a bowl of cereal.
Yes, they are.
And I'm out here getting after it.
At least in this phase of your life, you could be a part of something as fun as a Warchant.
Yeah, tonight. I'm only going to be there briefly, so you guys want to get in there early. The rest of the staff will be there the whole time. But I got things to do.
That was in Jeff's rider in his contract.
But we're going to have an Ask Warchant Anything from 7 to 8.
Members only, so it's on the tribal council.
Yeah, you're not a member. Get a grip. Get your ass off the couch and become a member. Good work. Peace.